Hey everybody, it's me, Edward Jones, back with a new video on gender and children. I can't. I'm actually surprised I'm making a video about this, but these are the times that we live in. I was at work today, and I was unpackaging some lenses, and we get a lot of our stuff from Michigan, and this piece of newspaper was used as packing material, and I figured I think I'd just check it out, see what would be in the paper, up in Detroit. And this is from a copy of the Detroit News, Sunday edition, March 27, 2016, and this is page 24A. I'll include that at the top so you can see that. And this is what I came across. Pick your gender at school. And I'm going to read some of this. Children who attend the Michigan public schools require their parents' permission before taking an aspirin, leaving the building, or going on a field trip. But the State Board of Education doesn't think parents have any business participating in their child's choice of gender or sexual orientation. And this article is written by Ingrid Jacques. I hope I'm saying her name properly. It says the state board has put together proposed guidelines for creating a safe and supportive learning environment for gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and questioning students. I mentioned. I'm not sure if I mentioned this in the video in the past. Back when I was in college, I actually joined. I didn't mention I joined a feminist group. I joined that because I knew nothing about feminism. I did it as an educational experience, to which I realized that I am no feminist. I also, after that, I joined a group called BGLSA, which stands for Bi, Gay, Lesbian, Straight Alliance. I was a small S in that acronym. It's funny because there were questions about whether I was gay. I was like, no, I'm not gay. All the stereotypes about straight guys are true. But I was in my 20s, I was in my late teens, early 20s when this kind of stuff really became a thing to talk about, or things that people, I guess, question, at least in my area. I had a few students that I went to school with that you didn't know were gay until they went out on their own, and then they came out about it on Facebook. But this is interesting because, all right, I'm assuming that when it says children who attend these public schools require their parents' permission before taking an aspirin, leaving the building, or going on a field trip. I'm gonna go out on a limb and think that this goes as far back as preschool. From preschool to 12th grade. And I'm wondering, really, is this a concern? Is this really a concern for young people these days? What gender? Trying to figure out what gender you are? Wasn't it already established? And it's funny, in questioning it says transgender and questioning students. I wonder what it. I'm lost the words. First off, when you're young, who has time to think about these things? How is this really becoming? How is this type of topic really being the something that people that young are thinking about? Second, I always wonder, who are we relying? Is our culture today relying on a child's wisdom to figure out whether they are a boy or a girl? Last I checked, they were children, and they need to be instructed as children ought to be instructed. At least that's how I was instructed. Me personally, there was no question about what side of the fence I was on. But it's like nowadays, it's not even that the lines are. It's not even that anything is blurred. It's almost like it's getting erased. It seems like our culture wants people to not have something something solid to stand on. They want them to actually be. They want them to actually constantly be questioning things that should just be. It should just be simple answers. Am I a boy? Am I a girl? Am I a boy? Yes. Then act as a boy. Am I a girl? No. Then act. Am I a girl? No. Am I a girl? Yes. Then act as a girl. But I was wondering who. I understand these things they do need this reinforcement through environment. I just wonder what kind of reinforcement is out there, because I mean they're children. You know, you understand you can give kids some credit, you know, as to, you know, things that they know about themselves, but isn't it the job of parents, isn't it the job of adults to steer children in a certain direction that actually makes them productive? Makes them contributing members, makes them people who are or are comfortable, or how can I put it, part of a community. What kind of community are they? What kind of community is being developed if you have you have boys questioning whether they're girls or not, or you have girls questioning whether they're boys or not, and children. I don't think I've knew what the word gender meant until maybe I was in junior high. You know, and that was because it was on forms and you apply. What is your gender, male or female? There was no other as I was growing up. It was one or the other, because biology dictates that you're either male or female. Whatever you got going on up here is not gonna change a biological framework. It's set. Now some people may have I would say some people may have just some, they've been traumatized to where they can't figure this out, or they have an issue going on up there, but it's pretty clear cut as to you're either one or the other. Let me go on with this article. Let's see. And this is funny because this is two males are supporting this. See, these policies were the brainchild of board president John Austin and signed off on by Superintendent Brian Winston. The guidelines, 7 pages worth, were put together at the end of February, but weren't readily visible on the Michigan Department of Education's website, nor did the department send out a press release. And basically, this article is about how parents are outraged by these guidelines. Let's see if I can find some of this stuff. People feel strongly about this, and most of the comments revolve around common themes. Parents are upset that schools could leave them out of such integral conversations about their children's very identity and how they express it. And parents, teachers, and others are up in arms over how these rules can impact children who aren't gay or transgender. Yeah, because it seems like you may have a child that actually is may actually be set on what they are, but then someone from left field comes out and say you could be this, and then it kind of messes with the kids' thinking. First off, I hope parents are rearing their children as they should, because if this is the direction that society is going in, where you have schools telling kids that basically pushing them to question who they are biologically, then we're in for some interesting times, if not currently. It says the board must address these concerns. Austin says he backs the guide because he cares about the well-being of LGBTQ students. He cites statistics about how the student population is more vulnerable as a rationale for why these students deserve additional support at schools. Going back to what I said before, I was actually joining a group called BGLSA, and I was the small S in that acronym. I joined because I didn't know anything about that type of culture. I can definitely tell you I was a foreigner in a strange land, so to speak. I remember I had a friend who had asked me about why would I join such a group. I said just to educate myself. He thought he'd be creeped. He said he would have been creeped out if he was there. I said I'm not creeped. I'm not afraid. First of all, homophobia, that means you have a fear. You have a fear of people who engage in that kind of behavior. I'm not afraid of people like that. So going into this, I was like, I already know who I am. I'm sure of myself. There's no question about it. But I went in and I did it to educate myself about some of the things that about that segment of the population may go through. And like I said, it was interesting. Just how but like I said, mind you, I'm with people who are I'm around people who are in the late teens, early 20s. It was interesting to hear some stories about some people about some people growing up and how their family may react, finding out that they weren't sure of what they are. But I'm looking at this in this article, and I'm wondering how far back is this pushing it? Is it pushing it to where, like I said, K to 12? Are we gonna be? Is there a push to get boys questioning whether they are actually boys? It seems to be a current. I actually noticed it to be a theme that emasculating boys seem to be a current trend nowadays, and not necessarily masculinizing, but more so empowering girls. Empowering girls at the expense of emasculating boys. So I don't know. I'm curious about what direction this type of stuff is heading in. It seems to be heading in that direction where you have masculinity being pushed out wherever it can be pushed out. And it's interesting to think that they say that parents can't have a say so in what their child's gender is, about what their child's gender is. First of all, I guess going back, since when is this a concern of anyone between? Really, is this really concern? Are these some of the major concerns between? I'm assuming K through 12. Let's see. So someone said, yet these policies go too far and place the comfort of a very small percentage of Michigan students over all others. Because what my understanding is that the percentage is actually fairly low. And I guess in the general population, at least in the U.S., it's very low compared to people who just go along with their biological makeup. So school staff should address students by their chosen name and pronouns that corresponds to their gender identity. If this was a policy done, or if a student made a request of this magnitude in my school, they would got clowned by the teacher, the class, because of its ridiculousness. If you were born with a Y chromosome, I'm gonna refer to you as a he. If you were born with two X chromosomes, I'm gonna refer to you as a she. And it's as simple as that. Let's see what else. Transgender and gender non-conforming students have the right to decide when, with whom, and to what extent to share private information. That includes parents. This to me, then this right here seems more like a push by, at least up there in Michigan, kind of a way to drive a wedge between children and parents. The state's a crazy thing, man. Students should be allowed to use the restroom in accordance with their gender identity. The same is true for locker rooms and sports teams. First of all, let's look into sports teams. Boys and girls, male and female, are built differently. Simple as that. Males have different muscular structure, different bone structure than females, which makes sense that we're more involved in contact sports. While we're built for more aggressive activity. And in the locker room, I don't know what's up with all this with this social engineering. But I don't see green pastures down the road. If this is the direction that, let's say this is in Michigan, I don't see things getting really. I don't see things being brighter down the road. And of course, you have Republican lawmakers who already don't have much faith in Democratic controlled state board or educational department have expressed their disdain as well. It's pretty standard. The board has no business trying to take away parental rights. I just call aside from parental rights, I just call parental authority. I believe parents do have a certain power over their children that must be respected as well as rights. But they are in trust. Society should entrust parents first and foremost to raise their children properly. Anything else after that, as far as what the public does, should really be reinforcements. Man. Education officials on Friday said they were extending the time frame for public comments by another month, so the state board no longer plans to vote on the LGBTQ policy at its May meeting. Speaking of which, I guess the Q means questioning. Is that? I wonder, is that to mean that someone who's unsure? Do we just leave it up to them? Why not just why not just inform them that they are what they are? This says these guidelines ostracize parents and force a politically correct liberal agenda on families around the state. That is not fair at all. I agree. And like I said, I see the trend of there's really a trend of emasculating, not just men, but young men and boys, making them feel guilty about wanting to be boys, in an attempt to feminize them, and that's sad. That's really sad. Please tell me what you think. Like I said, I don't see there's a link at the bottom. It says, it's this I Jacques, which for the author Ingrid Jacques, right there, at DetroitNews.com. So let me know if you find this article online or anything similar to it. Let me know what you think. Do you think that this is quite a leap for a school board to do? In regards to how children, see themselves, how preteens and teens see themselves. Is it encouraging them to question what they naturally are, in order to attempt to to go along with some agenda? I like to read your comments, hear your thoughts. Please share share your thoughts on this. Gripes and complaints, see what I do can address them. Just please be respectful to everyone else who watched this video. But that's my video, Children and Gender. I'm Edward Jones, and thanks for watching. I guess you can call this the Coon Files. Take care, guys.